Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Vivian from ThePaperLetterBlog and you're going to watch me create this little project. Now, I'm starting to feel more like myself again because in all honesty, I have started this voiceover 3 times now. Like this is the 4th time. I always tell you guys that because sometimes people assume that that it comes naturally to me and then they're upset if it doesn't come naturally to them. So that is why I also like to include those little insights so that people know that life isn't always as perfect as it seems on the internet. Little bit of a life lesson there. But anyhow, I started this voiceover a couple times. I didn't feel like myself because I actually have been gone for quite a while. I mean, maybe not here on YouTube because I scheduled ahead, but I actually stayed at my parents' for 8 days. So I didn't film anything in 8 days, or actually 9 days now. I didn't do any voiceovers, I didn't do any editing, I didn't upload any videos. It was weird, but it was good for me. It was really, really good for me. And the reason why I stayed at my parents is because here in the Netherlands we are in sorry, let me mute my computer. We're in voluntary lockdown, which is good. Obviously, we need to get this virus under control. Stay home, everyone. But we're in voluntary lockdown, and I couldn't work because I work in a restaurant, which is they're all closed. And my boyfriend does work from home, and I just felt like I needed a change of scenery for a bit. I also hadn't seen my parents in very, very long, so it felt good to go to them for a little bit. Obviously, I missed my house because my parents, I've moved out almost 8 years ago now. Oh my god, that is a long time. So their house isn't really my house. It feels more like a little vacation than it does feel like an actual home, but I still like going there, don't worry. But I missed the house, I missed my boyfriend, I missed the other cat, Noose, because I brought Sage with me to give the fighting cats a little bit of a break as well. But it was also really, really good and wholesome. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that a little bit later. But before I do, I need to talk about this project. If you're new to my channel or if you only occasionally watch my videos, I do have to warn you, I talk a fair bit. If you're here just to listen to someone talk about crafting, this may not be the video for you because I want to tell you about this project, but I also feel like I've been gone for so long, I just want to talk about the things that have happened and give you a little bit of an update because believe it or not, there's actually people that like those updates, so I'm gonna do that. But yeah, let me start first of all with the project because I'm already creating a flipbook base. I filmed this video and I wanted to upload it in April because I have a Patreon. You can check out the link. It's probably somewhere in the description down below, but I have a Patreon, and for the patrons, which is what they're called if you subscribe to my craft club, the patrons get a craft club challenge each month. And last month's was use magazine pages, magazine clip-outs, magazines in general, just use magazines. And the reason why I wanted to do that challenge is because we're all in, hopefully, I guess most people are in like voluntary lockdown. Some of you might be in actual lockdown. And that means we cannot go shopping, we cannot go out for new supplies, and we actually may have a lot more supplies laying around the house than we realize. So using magazine clip outs, it's not a new thing. It's not something I invented, but it's definitely something I didn't do often enough. So I thought I would use that as a challenge to encourage others as well to use the magazines they had laying around because, well, not all magazines are pretty, but there's definitely some good images you can use. Or newspapers or anything. It doesn't really matter, just as long as it's something you can read. So I've also myself been like crafting more and more with magazine clip-outs. The magazine I mainly use is Flow magazine because I have a subscription. Like I'm subscribed to that magazine. But I also use some other Dutch magazines such as Libelle and Margriet. That's basically 2 magazines that my mom and grandma read, and then when they're done reading them, I get to cut up the pages. So that's what you mainly see me use. But, oh yeah, like I said, I wanted to upload them last month. Didn't do that because I kind of overworked myself. I think I lost motivation for YouTube a little bit because I was pushing myself to do like 3 videos a week and or 2 videos in a live stream, and although I loved that a lot, I was trying to schedule ahead for my visit to my parents, and that got a bit much. Like I was editing so many videos in one day because I knew I was editing and filming and voiceovering because I knew I was going to be gone, and it took my motivation away. So that's why I in the end decided not to schedule a whole lot of videos. I think only 1 video came out when I wasn't in Breda. It was the vintage themed flipbook. That is also on my channel, but in the end I didn't upload this in April, and I'm going to upload it now in May, because I still think it should be fun. And obviously I actually learned a lot from this. I'm going to use magazine clip outs a whole lot more often because I had so much fun. I'm not just saying that because I set this challenge. I actually had a lot of fun. I think it also gave me some peace of mind because I'm usually so focused on crafting with a whole lot of different things, and I have a craft room filled with stuff, and then using magazines kind of limits the supplies a little bit. Like it becomes a lot more easy to handle for my brain. Like instead of focusing on 20 different paper pads I just get to focus on the magazine clip outs I took out of the magazine. Like that's a smaller stash, and I think that is actually good for me. Plus, I have to admit, Flow magazine has a lot of pretty images that you can use. And again, I'm sorry if you don't have Flow magazine. I don't know what to do about that, but there's probably a pretty magazine where you live as well. So I actually did a whole lot with magazine clip outs, also in like the off-camera things I did, such as the journaling. I did some journaling. I started a written journal. I just realized I haven't told you guys about that yet, but I started a written journal. I'm kind of following Kira Pace in that, my friend Kira. She does these wonderful like decorated pages, but not overly decorated, and that actually inspired me to think, hey, that is something I can do. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out her Instagram, Kira Pace, or simply Creative Kira here on YouTube. And I actually felt like that was something I could do as well. So I started written journaling, and I mainly use magazine pages for that. And it's actually really, really helped me, I think, grow. That sounds a little bit weird, but I'm trying out new things, and that is so much fun. I always encourage other people to do it, but I have to admit, I'm pretty boring. I'm pretty standard in that way. I like things standard, but I've been exploring, and it has been a lot of fun. So that's a little bit of background information. I do have more background information. Whoa, I just got an email saying that I received a new piece of mail in my PO box. I'm so easily distracted. Then, oh yes, there's another challenge in this video that you couldn't clearly see, but for me it was there, and that is to work with an envelope as a starting point. In the beginning you saw me measure that square envelope. It's a CD envelope, like an envelope that would fit a CD back in the day, and I bought like 40 of them for €1 or something in the secondhand store, and they're a very fun size because it's not a standard envelope size. And I actually have been kind of like challenging myself to flip it around, if that makes sense. Like normally I would say, okay, I'm making a project like from scratch, like I have no measurements or anything, like I'll just start a project and see how big it gets or how it goes. And now I'm turning it around. So instead of starting with the project, I'm starting with the envelope. So I'm saying, okay, this envelope is this and that big, so I'm going to make a certain project, no idea what it's going to be, but it has to fit this envelope. And I think you can hear it in my voice, but that actually makes me very excited because people often ask me, Vivian, how do you stay inspired? And I don't. I quite often lose like interest, I wouldn't say, but I quite often am in a creative rut. Actually, I would say it's like 1/3 of the time where I don't know what to create. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. And then these kind of things really, really help me to sort of flip or change my process. So, I'm also going to challenge you to do that. I know it sounds silly, but start with your envelope and make a project to suit that and see how it goes. Maybe for you it's like, yeah, Vivian, I always do that, but for me I've never made a flipbook this size or this format before, and maybe I eventually would have come up with it, but right now I simply made it because that was because I started with the envelope. Okay, long story short. Yes, so I started the base for this flipbook. Normally I wouldn't use a regular magazine page for a flipbook because it's not very sturdy, but the magazine I use has these I would say chapter pages. Like at the beginning of each chapter of the magazine they have one of these sturdy, almost cardstock pages. It's a lot thicker than regular paper, and I love saving those pages also because the magazine is already like perforated at those pages, so that like they make it easy for you to rip them out, because they probably know a lot of us like to use these specific pages for projects. Usually I'll save them for making envelopes. They're like the perfect thickness, the perfect sturdiness for making envelopes, but today I obviously wanted to make a Happy Meal project with that. So what I did in the beginning is I just pulled some pages out that I found inspiring. There were a lot of those, I'm gonna say it, kind of ugly pictures with like the grey and the red tones, and I didn't like them, but the flip side, like the back of the pictures, has these pastel colors. And originally my idea was to work with those four different images with the pastel, like to work with the back side. So instead of using the pictures, to make like a flipbook with pastel pages basically. But then in my stash was also this image which has some trees. It's like a forest, a misty, foggy forest kind of, and it was really, really pretty. I already liked it when I read the magazine, and then now it just felt right to work with that for this project. I also think my Penpal, Jenny, would really like it. She's the receiver of this project, obviously, and I felt I couldn't shake it. I couldn't shake that image, so I decided to go with that instead. And then, yeah, like the how would you say that? The base of this flipbook kind of came naturally. It's not really a flipbook, it's more of a card, but I don't know how else to call it, so I'm just going to call it a flipbook. But I just knew that I wanted to display that image on the front, and then the inside would just be some decorating and some goodies. Obviously I could have added more pages to this, or like a flip of an add-in, a tip-in. I think it's called a tip-in, right? If you add like a little card on the side that just opens, I don't know, but I decided to leave it like this because if I made it too bulky it would not fit in that envelope again. There we go. I normally would have overcomplicated this, but because I knew it had to fit in the envelope I kept it simple enough. I still think it's become a quite nice project, but because I knew it had to fit into the envelope, I didn't overcomplicate that. And that again helped me a lot. So what I did is I covered the writing on the inside of the page up with some vintage dictionary pages. I haven't spoken English in 8 or 9 days, so I have to in 10 days I think, so I have to translate everything really quickly. That's why I'm a bit slower, maybe saying a bit more often now. But I covered that all up with dictionary pages, and then the image with the hands holding twigs. That's the one you see in the bottom. It's hands holding twigs. I don't remember. I think it was an article about visiting the forest or something like that. So it's hands holding twigs, and I thought that went quite well with the theme of the forest and everything. And then I also added my current obsession, which is washi tape stickers. from some flowers. Now obviously flowers and forest is like a different theme, but it worked. In my opinion, it worked. And then I added some pretty stamps as well. So we had what did we have? We had a bird, we had a flower, we had a ladybug or a bee, I think. And then I'm just using some fine liners to decorate the front of the flipbook, or to say hello Jenny, I should say, because I decided again not to overcomplicate it. That may be my biggest challenge, not overcomplicating things or not thinking too much about it. So I decided not to actually do anything else to the front, just write hello Jenny, which is her name, and then leave it at that. And I have to say I quite like it. I think if I would have covered the front, I would have... I think I liked this better, long story short. But okay, I'm now going to grab some goodie bags and some gifts to add in there. And while I'm doing that, oh, I also have to tell you, do not click away at the end of this video, because I have a bunch, and I mean a literal bunch, of images from Instagram, from the hashtag ThePaperLetterBlog page. So it's different people sharing pictures with projects that were somehow inspired by my videos, and that's so much fun for someone like me to see. It's like, I'm eternally grateful for that. So don't click anywhere, don't go anywhere, don't click away, because that's going to be there as well. But like I said in the beginning, I wanted to talk to you about going to my parents for a little bit, actually quite a long time, 8 days. I also took our youngest cat Sage with me, because our cats, they fight often. Sage is like a very dominant, they're both ladies, but Sage really is the dominant one. She's the younger one, but she does not accept that she's not the boss in the house, and it's a lot. Like, Noose is our original cat. She's such a sweetheart, but she really gets bullied by the little cat. So I thought it would also be good for them to take them apart for a little bit and take Sage with me to the farm. Do have to admit that was not 100% my motivation. I also knew that being away from home was going to be difficult for me. Even though my parents' home is also home in a way, I knew that being away from my home and my boyfriend and my cats was going to be hard. So I decided to take one of the cats, because then I would sort of have a little bit of home with me all the time. And I have to say, Sage really, really loved it. In the beginning, she was hiding under the couch the whole time. Like, what have you done to me? Why am I here? But, after a couple hours, she was already carefully exploring. I have my own room again at the top, like the first floor of the house, and so does my brother. So she was like kind of sneaking around his room, kind of sneaking around the staircase, and it was so much fun to see. And after a couple of days, she was fully comfortable. She would lay in the kitchen on the floor, blocking everyone's path. Like, she owned the place. She also came face to face, or nose to nose, to our farm dog. Our farm dog, or my mom's dog, I should say, she's not really easily bothered by cats because she's pretty much used to them. But Sage is not used to dogs, so she was very, very annoyed because she was like puffing up her back, like the hairs of her back and her tail, like to make herself look big and scary. And the dog was like, I don't know what you're doing, but I don't really care. So she was very, very annoyed that the dog did not give her any attention. But after that, she's just sniffing her bowl and stuff like that. So it was all good in the end. Okay, I've only talked about my cat so far, but it was also good for me. Like I said, I hadn't seen my family in quite a while, and I think a change of scenery was also quite healthy. For me, at least, because I had been home for a month and a half already, which is kind of crazy. Nearly 2 months now. But anyway, it was really nice. I saw my grandma. Don't worry, we had a safe distance. Of course, I also met up and had tea with one of my friends and another one of my friends. We went for a walk outside. Actually in the shopping. We walked around like the shopping mall area, because that's kind of in the middle between where she lives, or where her parents live, and where my parents live. So I may have shopped. No, I only bought one thing, which is a large ticket die, and I'm thinking of using that for another video. So there's that. And I also saw my cousin's girlfriend with their baby. We again went for a walk, which is probably the safest thing to do right now in this isolation, like going for a walk instead of being in the same room. I don't know, but I saw some friends. I had a lot of quality time with my family, which was of course great. We even played a board game one night, which is called Rummikub. I don't know yet if it's like an international thing or if it's a Dutch thing, but basically it's like Scrabble but with numbers and colors instead of letters. I don't know. It's something we used to play a lot when my brother and I were younger, and it was actually, I think this might have been one of the first things in years that we did as a family. Obviously it's also fun when my boyfriend is there, but quite often it's just my boyfriend and my parents. Like my brother's always working, and now like I do not remember the last time we did something as a family, and we actually had fun. So it was really, really wholesome. And of course I was bored a little bit because I didn't have my craft supplies, not all of them at least. I didn't have my filming, I didn't have my computer, but I think it also gave me some peace of mind. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I timed this perfectly because I now finished this project. I may have slowed the clips down a little bit because when I started making this video it was 12 minutes long and now it's 22. Oopsie, but I hope you like this nonetheless. Like I said, there's still pictures coming from the hashtag ThePaperLetterBlog page, and here's a little close-up of the project that I end up really, really liking in all of its simplicity. Now for my pen pal, I did add a lot more pages because I write long letters, but that is basically how it went. I also added some more goodies because she gifted me a typewriter die, the one that you've been seeing in a video here or there, and I promised her that in return for the die I would send her some of the die cuts because she doesn't have a die cutting machine. So it ended up looking a little bit different, but that's basically what I sent her. And here's some of the pictures from the PaperLetterBlog hashtag. I really hope you like seeing them as much as I do. Now, that is it for today's video. I managed to talk you all the way through this, and I cannot wait to start this process again. I have some more PO Box mail to open and show you. I have some more PO Box mail to pick up already, which is kind of crazy. Fingers crossed that the things that are in my PO Box right now are not my own mails that have been returned. There's no way for me to know unless I actually go there. And I have a La Papier video for you to film. So for me to film for you. That came out weird. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're all healthy. I hope you're all doing okay. And if not, remember that tomorrow is another day. And also remember that you are not the only one feeling this way. I know that for a fact. I know that I feel that way all the time, so you're not alone. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a lovely day or night or week or weekend. I don't know. Thank you. Bye bye.